Hey guys, this is vlog post number 3. As you can see, I'm sitting in my car today. It was a little bit rainy outside, so I decided to sit in a parking lot and just jam a little bit. This me talking right now shouldn't take too long because as I was filming vlog post number 2, I cut and edited everything and stuck it all into a video, and I had 25 minutes worth of material. Now, I love to watch really long YouTube videos of boring people talking, but I'm pretty sure you don't, so I decided to trim it up into 2 separate videos. So most of this is going to be stuff I prepared to answer the question, am I good enough to perform at an open mic night? And with that, let's go into it. All right, so for this discussion, I think that we're going to need a whiteboard. It's so stupid. Also, I was cleaning this whiteboard off, and I'm pretty sure there's snow cone syrup all over it, so what the heck, kids? I had to get a little bit closer, because I just don't like where this is at. Make a timeline. It's not showing up very well because of the snow cone syrup. And right here. I'm so annoyed. I'm like ruining my markers too. I hope you know this, little people. All right, so you might notice the change in setting, but I promise you the character and the plot are still going to be the same. Oh yeah. All right, so I guess first of all, I had to change where I was at because the whole snow cone on the whiteboard thing actually was a real problem, and my marker just wasn't showing up at all, and it was destroying my markers. So again, thank you kids. Also, this is an interesting setting. I'll take a picture of it just so you can see what I had set up here. But I just needed to do this because I had one of those days at work where I felt like I stressed out all day, and I went to a bunch of meetings, and I'm not entirely sure that the world is any different because of all of my stress that I had today. I don't think I made anything different. I don't think I gave back to the world anything different. No genius ideas came out of my head. I was just annoyed, and I felt like I needed to at least do something productive today. So it's late at night, and my setting is a little ridiculous. All right, and so what I wanted to show you is Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. He claims that it takes 10,000 hours to get good at any skill. Okay, so I'm gonna draw ourselves a little graph, a little timeline. Got the thick money. This is 0 hours, and this is 10,000 hours. That is good. Alright, so what 10,000 hours means is that if you listen to your mother and you practiced a half an hour every day, 5 days a week, then with 52 weeks a year, let's say you miss 2 weeks for vacation to make the math easy. So 50 weeks a year times a half hour a day, that means 2.5 hours a week. That means you practiced about 125 hours for that total year. So if you practice for 125 hours a year, that's going to take you 80 years to get good at something. And so, I mean, when he says good, he doesn't mean good. He means world class at something. Take 80 years at a half hour a day to get world class at something. Basically, if you're only practicing a half hour a day, you're never going to get there. Double that time, practice an hour a day, it takes you about 40 years. Still probably not going to make it, even with an hour a day. If you double that to 2 hours a day, that's 20 years. If you double that to 4 hours a day, then that's when you're into a decade. And that's about how long it would take. It would take 4 hours a day for 10 years with a reasonable life to actually become world class at something. And if you actually look up what people have accomplished and how long it took them to get there, this is actually pretty standard. Most musicians would practice 4 hours a day for about 10 years of their life in order to become world class musicians. They had to put some real commitment into it. Yes, you get absolutely really good at it, but I also think that it's also a condition of human nature that people in general just can't practice more than 4 hours a day for 5 days a week on a skill that they're trying to build. And so after you do that for 10 years, that's pretty close to the peak of effort that humans can put in. And so therefore, that is what our world-class people look like. So to add on to this 10,000 hours, I think objectively, there's some skills that don't take as much time to learn, and there's some skills that do take longer to learn. For instance, I've heard skateboarders, I believe skateboarding is actually really difficult. I think people that don't skateboard don't understand, but skateboard is an incredibly difficult, time-consuming sport. And I've heard skateboarders say that they've spent up to 15,000, 20,000 hours learning how to skateboard. So your pro skateboarders are actually like somewhere past the 10,000 hour mark over here, at like 15,000 hours. And I mean, maybe that's not true for everybody, but I think that it's true for a lot of them. It's also something that's really fun to do, so it's a lot easier to get in your 15,000 hours than other skills. So I also looked up some languages, like your easy languages like Spanish and Portuguese. They're probably right around here. It's 600 hours. So where this number comes from is that the Foreign Service actually provides a language class for people that are going to be living abroad, and they know how much time it takes to put in for a common person that has no exposure to that language to become a level 3 speaker. And a level 3 speaker basically just means that you don't bug the person that you're talking to when you're speaking that language. They still know you're a foreigner, you're just not bugging them. And so 600 hours for Spanish and Portuguese. This is annoying because I've been studying Portuguese for a long time and I'm still not there. So I haven't actually counted my hours, but apparently they're not 600 yet, and that bugs me. Arabic and Chinese, they're actually more up here at like 2,200 hours. Interestingly though, Arabic is astronomically less time to learn than skateboarding is. I think that you could do this with a lot of different sports, a lot of different skills that you're trying to learn, and you would put yourself on different levels of this spectrum. Alrighty, so now that you've taken a step into my head, this is honestly, this is how I think about things. Every time I do something, I have to go through this whole process. It's miserable. That's the first car that's driven past. I feel very awkward right now. Let me tell you where I'm actually at, because I track this. So I think that there's 3 things that I desperately need to work on in order to sound good. John Mayer says he doesn't have to be the best, he just wants to be able to sound good. And I'd like to take that advice for myself. So although being at 10,000 hours is going to be helpful if I want my music to be unique and more interesting and listenable, but it's not necessary. So the things that I really think I need in order to be listenable or interesting to listen to is a good singing voice, a good ability to write songs, which most people don't understand, but it's definitely a skill in itself, and good at production, which also people don't understand, but is a skill in itself. All those 3 things together are the necessities, and the other stuff like being able to play the piano, being able to play the ukulele, they're all kind of peripheral to that. They add to your music, but you can still make good music if you have those 3 skills. So, my singing. My tracking for singing is that I have 650 hours in of singing. So, singing. 650. The amount I've produced is right here at about 320 hours. And my songwriting is right around here, about 609. 609. 300 of which is production. So I'm about 300 hours into songwriting, which probably isn't as much as I'd like to be. My singing's actually doing pretty well. It's not fantastic. I think I'm very bottom of intermediate based on this chart that I have going on. And then my production is very beginner level. As far as ukulele goes, do I have any skill with the ukulele? I think that I actually do. I think I have about 500 hours with ukulele. Yeah, I have it written down exactly. I have 527 hours of ukulele practice. Okay, so what is the answer to all this question? Do I think I'm good enough to play at an open mic night? And the answer to that question is, you know what? Maybe, but it's about time I start trying. All right, I do figure that part of these are supposed to be me updating you on where I'm at with the actual goal of performing at an open mic night. So I have finished writing the song Savages I actually wrote it on both the ukulele and on the piano, so I can play it on both of them. It still needs a little bit of practice, but that should be coming soon. Here are some pieces of it.
'Cause you're a savage, you're a savage. I'll pay more so I don't have to know what it's like outside. In my fear I will roam. It's my comfort zone. Whoa. Also, just one thing really quick before I close this up. I've started my other song. I have a good idea for it. I'll talk about it in my next video. And I also came up with this super cool riff that sounds like this. That sounds like this. And then I'm going to sing on that, and it's going to be great. So, thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you next time. Later.